simu yangu bwana, umesikia?
Manake mimi askari wako walipa shingapi?
I'm not going, I'm here to stay.
You leave this house.
Hauna shughuli zingine za kufanya?
I am a man of few words.
Kisha nikome.
Beno!
Mimi.
Yes, you go!
Na mke mwingine maika naye huyu. Nenda polisi lakini.
Una kilo kitani.
Heshima unipi maika.
Bafu sana.
لما يحقق أحلام ليلة السفر قعدنا نتكلم بالساعات قالوا لي بصوا قدامك ما تبصش للي فات.
Mini Allah uwe na imani, ingine falyastajibu li. Na wewe pia umuitikie Mwenyezi Mungu. Kumuitikia Mungu ni vipi? Ni wewe utende matendo mema aliyokuamrisha Allah na uache haramu. Isiwe unaomba dua kumbe unakula chakula cha haramu.
Baadhi ya masharti haya ni kama kumcha Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, kuepukana na makatazo ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala na kumtegemea yeye peke yake, kumpwekesha katika ibada zako zote kama Muislamu.
Good afternoon, a very warm welcome to the Lunchtime News. My name is Irene Mchuma Udem. On sign language interpretation, we have Susan Thuku. It is the 27th day in the month of June 2023. This afternoon, we are expecting Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga to address members of the press. This as reactions into the enactment of finance bill continue to pour in. We have the latest updates. Let's interact on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. Our top focus this afternoon, Azimio leader Raila Odinga is meeting with his supporters at the Kamkunji grounds as to chart the way forward following the enactment of the finance bill into law. Raila, who has been away in Poland, will proceed to the historic Kamkunji grounds where he will address his supporters. And as Abdi Aziz reports, security has been heightened in and around Kamkunji grounds ahead of the ODM leaders' address.
All roads are currently leading to Kamkunji grounds.
The wishes of the people were ignored. Instead, they retained punitive taxes on fuel.
As the opposition chief Raila Odinga is expected to jet back into the country this afternoon, where various leaders from the coalition will be at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to receive the ODM leader ahead of the public baraza in the historic Kamkunji grounds. Raila, who has been in Poland for the last few days, is expected to pronounce the next course of action after Azimio MPs were unable to stop the passage of the controversial Finance Bill 2023 that has since been enacted into law. More so, the 1.5% housing levy and the return of the 16% VAT on fuel is likely to dominate Odinga's address at Kamkunji grounds. Pundits opining there could be a return of a street protest that were held twice a week for the last few months. This has led to security being heightened in and around Kamkunji grounds. The meeting in Kamkunji comes just hours after Azimio failed to galvanize the numbers to push through the impeachment motion against Siaya Deputy Governor William Oduol. Abdiaziz Hashim for Lunchtime News.
Youth in Kisumu have been told to expect mass job creation from the housing levy following the assenting of the Finance Bill 2023 on Monday by President William Ruto. Speaking during the continuous recruitment of UDA membership in Nyakach, Kisumu County, the UDA youth leadership in the Lakeside County cautioned the youth against engaging in any protest if called upon by the opposition. The caution comes ahead of a planned opposition meeting at the Kamkunji grounds in the capital, Nairobi, to chart the way forward following the enactment of the bill into law.
Youth people in Kisumu County, that let us not go to Mandamano, because going to Mandamano is not going to solve anything. Let us, instead of going to Mandamano, let us go where we can have a meeting and discuss how we are going to work forward regarding the bill that have been signed with our beloved president. And this bill is going to help us. As a youth, we are going to benefit in house, the issue of building houses. We are going to have a lot of employment through those houses that are going to be provided with our beloved president.
All right, parents have been urged to closely monitor their children's activities online in order to protect them from exposure to inappropriate content, cyberbullying, drugs, and substance abuse. Speaking during a prize-giving ceremony at Isiolo Girls High School in Isiolo County, where woman representative Mumina Bonaya cautioned parents against giving unlimited freedom to their children, especially when they are on holiday. Mumina noted that such unmonitored exposure could easily radicalize their children and mess up their lives.
Hizi ni zile mambo moja ambaye inaharibu watoto wetu. Tusipochunga unaweza pata kila siku wanaangalia mambo machafu ambaye haifai, na hiyo unafikiria unafunza mtoto mambo mazuri, lakini kuna mwalimu mwingine hapo kwa internet anamfunza mambo tofauti. Wasichana, ni kweli ama? Usifikirie kwa sababu wewe ni mzazi mkali sana mtoto yako hajui kutumia dawa ya kulevya. Kuna wale watamfunza.
Kilifi County government has surpassed the 1.1 billion shillings revenue collection target for the first time in a decade, following new measures put in place by the Governor Gideon Mung'aro-led administration. Mung'aro says the county is establishing a new county court which will help raise more revenue for the county. He made the remarks during the official unveiling and awarding of certificates and trophies to new Transport County Inspectorate officers who have graduated.
In the next 2 months, we'll have our own court. So hakuna excuse. Ukishika mtu, sitaki mtu apoe bondi ya siku 2. Ukishika mtu saa 3 asubuhi muandikie bondi ya saa 4.
Mara nyingi askari wa county wamekuwa hawapati ile heshima inayostahili kule nje, kwa sababu wanategemea wale askari wengine kuweza kuprosecute hizi court offenses. Hawana cells, wanatakana kila wakati wa liars na OCS ndio waweze kuprosecute hizi county offenses. Lakini sasa kukiwa na county magistrate, hii pia itawapatia nguvu kuweza kufanya kazi.
Money from the national treasury, as you are aware, cannot be enough at all. Each county should come with its own structure so that it can be able to raise as much revenue as possible.
The Samburu County government has rolled out a free medical camp to treat about 300 people suffering from cataract disease. According to the Samburu County eye specialist Philip Senei, cataract is a main eye disease in the county of Samburu that affects mostly pastoralists, and if not treated early, it may cause permanent blindness.
Ugonjwa wa trachoma ziko sana sana kwa sababu ya maeneo ya wafugaji, sio Samburu pekee, iko pia sehemu za Turkana, Pokot, Masaini na zingine, na ndio imekuwa changamoto kubwa kwa upande wa macho katika kaunti hii. Lakini na shida kubwa ya trachoma ni kwamba mgonjwa anapopofuka ama anapopoteza macho kwa sababu ya trachoma ni vigumu sana kurudisha.
Ile kazi tunafanya hapa ni sana sana ni surgeries. Wanafanya screening, kuangalia hawa wenye wako na shida ya surgery. Na cataract ni ugonjwa moja inaleta blindness ama upofu.
We are this is service to God and to humanity. It is a need for the pastoralist because health issue, especially the eye issues in Samburu, is very common.
Tumesaidika sana. Watu wasipokuja hapa itakuwa ngumu sana kwao kwenda hapa mpaka tuseme Nakuru ama Nyahururu.
About 9,000 students from Narok East constituency are set to benefit from 30 million shillings bursary through the National Government Constituency Development Fund NGCDF for the financial year 2022-2023. Narok East Member of Parliament Leman Ken Aramat says the beneficiaries had applied through an online platform and that the number of beneficiaries has risen from 3,000 in 2013 to 9,000 in the current financial year.
Ngezi sana watu wetu kwa sababu inamaanisha wameiga mwito ya kupeleka watoto shule na pia imegrow. The few challenges that we have is that actually you get people from Kajiado who have applied, you get people from Mai who have applied, you get people from Naivasha, and even people who have applied from Narok North. If you are from Narok North and chifu wa eneo hili aseme, this si wetu, we disqualified you, you won't get bursary.
Kajiado Central Member of Parliament Elijah Memusi has called on President William Ruto to intensify the fight against corruption by taking action against government officials found culpable. Memusi emphasized the importance of safeguarding funds allocated for specific purposes, stating that rampant corruption among state officers has hindered the progress impoverished Kenyans. Memusi made the plea while inaugurating a new dining hall at Ole Kajiado High School in Kajiado County.
Ya kwamba ainue kiboko kwa sababu ya wale ambao hawatumii pesa za umma vizuri. Haiwezekani wewe unatoshwa ushuru na unalipa kwa uchungu sana. Alafu hiyo pesa yako badala ikusaidie kukuletea barabara, ikuletee maji, ikuletee stima, mtu anaiweka kwa mfuko yake. Ni yeye ulimtolea? Mnakubali hiyo?
The Mpeketoni Judicial Committee has provided special training to Hindi prison inmates to combat the entry and spread of extremism and radical teachings in the county of Lamu. According to Mpeketoni Law Court Senior Chief Magistrate Eugene Pascal, ex-prisoners are increasingly susceptible to radicalization. At the same time, the prison's chief superintendent, Festo Odongo, noted that the training is necessary especially for safe integration of inmates back into the society.
Maskari wetu ambao wamejifunza mambo ya guiding and counseling, ambapo wanaweza kueleza wafungwa jinsi ya kuripoti yule mtu anajaribu kueleza mambo ambayo haziambatani na sheria za nchi ama ya jela, jinsi ya kuishi hapa na kwa amani. So that kama mtu anaona mwenzake anajaribu kumsawishi kwa njia ambayo isiyofaa, basi anapeana hiyo report na sisi tunafanya uchunguzi na tunachukua hatua za kisheria ambayo inakubaliwa.
Tumewapatia na saa shauri ikiwa inawezekana mambo kama hayo ya wakiona mtu yote hamuelewi au analeta masomo kama hayo ya itikadi bovu, walete wale maofisa wanaostahili report kwa mara moja ili wapewe nasaha na ule mtu achukuliwe hatua. Kuna mambo ya mavazi na pia tufanye tabasa.
Now, a middle-aged woman from Matayos, Busia County, is full of joy after delivering quadruplets at Busia County Referral Hospital. Topista Anyango is calling upon well-wishers to support her take care of the infants, stating that she is a widow and struggling to fend for her family. Stella Owese, a nurse at the hospital who attended to the elated mother, says that the quadruplets are in stable condition and being monitored closely. Currently, the babies are in the nursery until they maintain normal weight before being discharged.
I'm very nervous, but I'm also happy. Si kawaida, nilikuwa tu naonanga kwa TV. Leo hata mimi pia ndo nimejifungua. Sina uwezo wa kulea watoto. Sina diaper. Nan pia ni bei ghali, siwezi afford peke yangu. So nilikuwa naomba wahisani na serikali wanishikilie hao watoto tujue venye watakuwa.
So tuko hapa kumsaidia kukuza watoto wake wafikishe hiyo kilo yenye natakikana at least 2 kgs, alafu adischargiwe aweze kuwalea kule nyumbani wakifika kilo 2. Kwa sasa tumewaweka kwa incubator kwa maana hawawezi wakakaa nje.
A section of leaders in Embu County is urging residents to register groups to benefit from affirmative action funds such as the Uwezo Fund. The leaders say loans from the funds, if well utilized, will benefit groups and entire communities, especially those in semi-arid regions like Mbere. Speaking during Uwezo Funds and bursary checks distribution at Kanyuambora Primary School in Mbere North, Embu County Woman Representative Njoki Njeru noted that those who repaid the loans will receive more in the next phase. Sentiments echoed by Mbere North Member of Parliament Geoffrey Ruku, who called for prudent utilization of the loan for economic empowerment.
Fanya kwa njia nzuri, wasipoitumia kwa njia nzuri hawataweza tena kufaidika wakati mwingine zikipeana.
Kila mmoja wetu amefaidika sababu wengine wameanza biashara kidogo kidogo kama ya kuuza matunda, wengine ni wa biashara ya mbuzi, wengine wanauza viatu, na wengine ni wa serious. Na tunaona tunasaidika na hii pesa maana tukianza tu kuwa na kitu, lakini saa hii at least tumejiinua kiwango. Na tunashukuru na tunaona
kuna mtoto anaishi na ulemavu wa mchanyato wa ubongo ama kwa lugha nyingine cerebral palsy, hydrocephalus na epilepsy. Na nilikuwa nimekuja kupata pesa ya Uwezo Fund kama kikundi Ishara Vision for People with Disabilities, na hiyo pesa itatusaidia kwa biashara tuweze kukimu mahitaji ya hao watoto wetu.
To security concerns, 600 liters of illicit brew was destroyed and 2 suspects arrested during an illicit brew raid in the county of Laikipia. County officials decried lenient fines imposed on illicit brew traders, noting that it is not effective in curbing the trade.
During a raid into Rukuma location, outskirts of Nanyuki town, Laikipia County, about 600 liters of Kangara was destroyed. 2 motorcycles believed to be used in supplying alcohol in the area were also confiscated, among other brewing apparatus. 2 suspects arrested during the raid are being held at Nanyuki police station, awaiting arraignment in court. Laikipia East Deputy County Commissioner Patrick Muli regretted that courts were not imposing hefty fines to deter illegal alcohol brewers.
Upande ule mwingine ambao naona maybe tukiarrest tunaarrest, lakini upande wa mahakama tungeomba waweze kutupatia motisha wakati watu wanafikishwa pale, waweze kuwapatia penalty ambayo inaofaa.
Muli decried that the fines imposed on them were too small and would not stop illegal alcohol brewing business.
Nachukua muda kupata either pombe, bangi, drugs, lakini ikienda huko unapata mtu anaenda anaachiliwa anapewa faini ya 2000. Na hao watu ambao wanapika pombe wanakuanga na chama yao. So ikiwa ni 2000 hata huyo mtu akikanyanga hapo nje imelipwa.
As the world commemorated International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking aimed at achieving a world free of drug abuse, Muli revealed that the war on outlawed narcotics can only be won only if all stakeholders join forces. For Lunchtime News, I am Teresa Mutai.
Aveda Ayurveda Clinic has taken yoga students in Tingatinga, Kiambu sub-county to help them improve on their physical, mental and spiritual well-being. The instructor, Dr. Sema Sharma, who took the students through the exercise, said that through yoga training, the students will also be able to concentrate on their studies.
Yoga is for the physical and mental health, and children want the concentration. Everyone will need the concentration, and everyone to be happy. And when we are happy, we are looking for the good health, mentally and physically.
Yoga is for the fitness. If you can't sit on the ground, you come to us, we will make you sit on the chair, we will teach you slowly, minor exercises, then we will teach you after 3-4 months towards the major exercises. So there's no bar, there is no limitation of the age. From the 4 years till your last breath you can do.
Ningependa kuadvise watu wote, we can join juu inasaidia kugrow kiakili, mwili. If you're feeling any pain any mahali popote, inasaidia na una feel your body relaxing.
All right, from yoga training to the cabinet, he was one of Kenya's pioneer technocrats serving in the Ministry of Labour. This week on the segment, The Cabinet, we focus on Titus Musembi Mbathi, who served in President Daniel Arap Moi's administration.
Having acquired his Masters of Arts in Economics from the New York State University, Titus Musembi Mbathi returned to Kenya and immediately plunged into the public service. His entry point being at the Secretariat of the East African Common Service Organization, which would later become the East Africa Community, as an Undersecretary in the Treasury in 1962 and part of 1963. In 1963, he was promoted to the position of Director of Personnel Management. In 1964, he rose to become a permanent secretary serving in the Ministries of Economic Planning and Development and that of Labor. He served as a PS under Nyeva Mwendwa, who was instrumental in developing the National Security Fund and the National Youth Service. He resigned from the civil service to try his luck in politics. In 1980, his chance to vie for political leadership came when the Kitui Central parliamentary seat was declared vacant after the nullification of Daniel Mutinda's election. After a hotly contested battle, Mbathi won the seat. President Moi appointed Mbathi Minister for Labour, citing his wealth of experience in matters labour. He would serve as an MP and cabinet minister for 3 years. Mbathi's tenure in the cabinet, however, was short-lived. After the infamous August 1982 coup attempt by a section of Kenya Air Force soldiers, the president called for a snap election in 1983 as part of efforts to reorganize his government, tighten security and exercise more control. Mbathi fell victim to the snap election and therefore unable to complete a 5-year term as either minister, as he lost his parliamentary seat. After leaving politics and government, Mbathi concentrated in business until the introduction of multi-party politics and the subsequent formation of the Forum for the Restoration of Democracy, FORD, in 1991. He decided to jump back in politics. He became the Ford Kitui District Branch Chairman. When Ford split into Ford Kenya and Matiba's Ford Asili in 1992, Mbathi opted to work with Matiba. In 2002, he joined the National Rainbow Coalition led by Mwai Kibaki and became the committee chairman. When NAC took over the government after defeating KANU in 2002 general election, President Kibaki appointed him chairman of KenGen. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
Glad you're watching the Lunchtime News. We are taking our first commercial break. We'll be back with more, including business and sports. Stay with us.
Iwapo unakohoa, unahisi uchungu kwenye kifua, uchovu kila wakati, joto jingi mwilini, unakosa hamu ya kula au kupoteza uzito haraka bila kukusudia na kutokwa na jasho jingi usiku, waweza kuwa waugua TB.
Na mke mwingine maisha nayo, nenda polisi lakini. Una kilo kitatu. Heshima unipi Mike. Bafu sana.
TB yaweza kuangamiza jamii yako. Usikubali. Matibabu ni bila malipo katika hospitali zote za serikali.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Wewe na mama mko sawa?
Mko sawa mwanangu. Unakumbuka kabla sijasafiri nilikwambia kuwa when I come back I'll make things right.
Hebu focus na mambo ya shule. Mambo ya baba na mama wa shule watafix issue zao wenyewe.
Abel is my son. Me and my wife Zari tumechoka kuwa mlezi wake. Now take him with you. Wendo kamlee.
You know, Wakili, sometimes I think you're too strict.
Welcome back. In business, the race is heating up between the suburbs of Westlands and Upper Hill to win the trophy for Nairobi's favorite commercial hub. Westlands' rise as a commercial and entertainment hub continues to attract real estate developers keen to tap into its strategic placement. The latest being Val Real Estate, which has unveiled its development elite residence towers in Nairobi. Entrepreneurs have been urged to embrace the government-backed credit guarantee scheme to counter barriers related to access of credit. Kenya Private Sector Alliance says entrepreneurs need to aggregate their resources in order to foster growth. This emerged as Kenya joined the world in commemorating the World International MSME Day themed Empowering MSMEs for a Sustainable Future.
Access to credit has been highlighted as a major barrier towards the growth of MSMEs in the country.
The credit guarantee scheme was put in place with the aim of de-risking small businesses to enable them access credit. Uptake has, however, been slow, with a little over 2,000 businesses accessing funds in an economy that boasts over 7 million MSMEs. KBC is challenging entrepreneurs to embrace the government-backed credit guarantee scheme to counter barriers related to access of credit.
So then a lot of then capacity building comes with that, so that when I give you the money, I need to capacity build you to understand how to run your business, so that the payability of that money chances are high, because what you planned, you have used the money how you planned it, and how you anticipated the growth of your business has been realized. Then the scaling of your business and finances has been realized, then you can be able to pay.
However, there is need for entrepreneurs to aggregate their resources in order to improve their resilience and sustainability.
And why aggregation of resources is necessary is for us to get into the economy of scale, to access those markets that require bigger quantities that an individual SME can be able to put.
The scheme was initiated by the government to help small enterprises acquire business loans. The government had sought banks that would match its investment in a fund that would be used to advance credit to small businesses. Frederick Moki for Lunchtime News.
All right, construction of the 11 billion shillings phase 1 project of Railway City is set to start in the next 6 months. This comes after Kenya and WS Atkins Commercial International Limited agreed on the designs for the Nairobi City Central Station, a key feature for the 3-phased Railway City project.
Construction of the 30 billion shillings Railway City is scheduled to start in January next year, after the government and the implementing agency WS Atkins International agreed on the designs for the first phase. The first phase, which is estimated to cost 11 billion shillings, will involve moving the existing railway bus terminus to the Green Park, construction of a new steel locomotive shed, construction of the project offices, among other major developments.
We are here signing an agreement in a record time before the end of even 1 year since we came to office. We believe that if the construction can start in January, the people of Kenya will begin to reap the fruits of the work that we are doing.
In the design agreement, the Atkins International will also be required to employ 5,000 local artisans to carry out the project.
Going to produce new design that will be a landmark in Nairobi City, and that is a job of Atkins, led by Mr. Philip Dorick here, and the team who are going to work with our local architects and contractors and businesses to make sure that these designs are achieved.
To optimize the project, the government says the second phase of the project will have a mixed housing project to increase the viability of the project.
Not elitist. The city we are designing is to accommodate everybody from bottom up, in line with our project and plan. Everybody will be somebody and will have space to interact, to meet. It will be the melting point.
The United Kingdom has committed 12 billion shillings to build a green city on part of the 425 acres piece of land that will host the Railway City. Benson Ruba reporting for Lunchtime News.
The Bank of Japan held 53% of outstanding Japanese government bonds at the end of March, a record high after it stepped up buying to keep borrowing costs low. The bank's bond holdings, excluding those with short-term maturities, came to $4 trillion, while the total government debt issued was at 1.1 trillion yen. The Bank of Japan has held more than half of the government's debt for 3 straight quarters. Here now are the details of this and other stories making headlines across the globe.
Now, its yield curve control program, the Bank of Japan, sets short-term interest rates at minus 0.1% and guides 10-year Japanese government bond yields to around 0%. Japanese government bond yields faced upward pressure in tandem with those of its overseas counterparts amid a global trend of monetary tightening to curb inflation, prompting the Bank of Japan to ramp up bond purchases to keep the yields within a designated range. The household assets gained 1.1% to 2,043 trillion yen, of which 1,107 trillion yen or 54.2% were held in cash and deposits. Elsewhere, foreign enterprises are turning their attention to China's enormous and rapidly growing consumer market, with the country's middle-income earners presenting an enticing opportunity to capture a share of the world's second-largest consumer market. Imports of consumer goods in 2022 more than doubled compared to a decade earlier, signaling to many companies that more Chinese consumer demand is still waiting to be unleashed. China's imports of consumer goods reached over $290 billion in 2022, and with a spate of government initiatives to boost consumer spending following the pandemic. Hamilton Beach, a U.S. home appliances company founded over a century ago, has recently introduced a new strategy to create tailored products specifically for the Chinese market. Finally, the Russian president signed a decree on Monday extending a ban on exporting Russian oil and petroleum products to foreign buyers that observe a price cap. The original decree was signed on December 27, 2022, to impose countermeasures against some Western countries' price caps on Russian oil products. It came into force on 1st February 2023 and was expected to last valid until July 1st, 2023. With the recent amendments, the Russian president has officially extended the decree to products to foreign legal entities and individuals if a price cap is directly or indirectly stipulated in the contract. The decree was a response to the decision made by the European Union G7 countries and Australia in December 2022 to introduce a price cap of $60 per barrel on Russian seaborne crude oil.
Glad you're watching the Lunchtime News. We are taking a breather. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
맞네. 응? 야가 금마이 많네. 나 짜 비싸.
넌 앞으로 판때기 같은 거 짜지 마.
왕푸드. 그래. 뭐 조금 후져도 조용하기만 하면 되지. 응.
나하고 일 하나 같이 하자.
오, 신세계에서 이정재가 된 기분. 뭡니까?
Wewe na mama mko sawa?
Mko sawa mwanangu.
Unakumbuka kabla sijasafiri nilikwambia kuwa when I come back I'll make things right.
Hebu focus na mambo ya shule. Mambo ya baba na mama wa shule watafix issue zao wenyewe.
Abel is my son. Me and my wife Zari tumechoka kuwa mlezi wake. Now take him with you. Wendo kamlee.
You know, Wakili, sometimes I think you're too strict.
Wewe umesikiaje? Umesikia nimesema nini?
Bila sielewi Kiswahili sana, siongea Kiswahili sana.
Unaongea lugha gani?
Sio ya uongo mbebe face.
Kawera wewe.
Kweli wa mambo. Hiyo ndio ndiru.
Sasa unamuita mbembe face, huyu ni baby face.
Ni mbebe face.
Huyu mtu mzee hata uso imekunjana ni baby face.
So me and that guy who is criminal.
Yote
wewe mtu akikukosea utafanya namna gani?
Njia yao ni fupi sana.
Kila mtu ujue atapeka mzigo
wake mwenyewe.
Wake mwenyewe.
Na kila mtu atauchokoa.
Hii mambo ya kuimba hapa sitaki, unasikia?
Nikumbe bila naenda
mpaka Roho anasema tuimbe hivyo sababu huko ndio anaenda.
Roho amesomea wapi?
Ananisungumzia. He talks to me directly.
Wewe umemaliza mashine.
Sijamaliza.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back. And still in business news, the government is planning to remodel the stalled multi-billion shilling Sitare and Soin-Koru dams in another attempt to revive the stalled dams. Construction of the 56 billion shillings dams is expected to start later this year. Water Principal Secretary Paul Rono says the compensation process and funding delays that have delayed the projects are almost finalized.
The Italian-funded 36 billion shillings Itare Dam project had been slated for completion by April 2021 in Kuresoi Molo in Nakuru County by CMCD Ravenna, an Italian firm that was contracted by Rift Valley Water Services Board. However, work stalled in September 2018 after the contractor filed for bankruptcy in Italy. The contractor then left the site after closing its offices in the country before handing over the project back to the Rift Valley Water Services Board.
Itare Dam, which is in Nakuru. That dam is supposed to supply water to Kericho, Tekipkelion East.
For the 20 billion shillings Soin-Koru Dam, compensation of landowners slowed the implementation of the project. The dam, which is said to be completed by the year 2028, is a Vision 2030 project. The government now says a solution is in the offing.
As Ministry of Water and the Department of Water and Sanitation, we have looked at and remodeled that program so that we put it on track and on course, and we make it implementable within specific time frame. And now we'll come on the ground and make sure that individuals who have not been compensated will be compensated.
It has emerged that the Itare Dam redesign will allow 20% of water to be supplied to parts of the Kipkelion East in Kericho County. The Soin-Koru Dam remodeling, on the other hand, with an envisioned capacity of 93.7 million cubic meters, is said to provide 72,000 cubic meters of water per day for domestic and institutional use and control perennial floods in the Nyando Basin.
We are aware of the ongoing peak program, the dam of Soin-Koru, the status and where it is. We are also aware that there are people who have been displaced. Land compensation has been done to some status.
Alan Oko, Lunchtime News.
Kenya has begun talks with France concerning the recent interception of Kenyan hubs at the European nation market. Isaac Masharia, Director for Phytosanitary Biosecurity, says the consignment was intercepted due to the three pest concerns, and an audit of the intercepted consignment has started to protect local hubs and horticulture from further checks and interceptions in Europe.
Kenya exported products worth 10 billion shillings to France in 2022, with horticulture comprising the largest shipment to the European nation. However, Kenyan herbs consignment might be subjected to further tests after a consignment was intercepted due to pest concerns. KEFIS now says they are taking precautionary measures, including auditing the consignment to protect the Kenyan herb market.
We have work to do at home in terms of complying with those standards and ensuring that we produce our products with a cost that is well and easy. And this is where we now ask the government to always ensure that we zero rate their inputs so that it makes it competitive for Kenya to be able to compete in the marketplace.
KEFIS says it will intensify phytosanitary training for farmers and exporters to ensure they comply with high food safety standards at the international market.
In terms of the markets, we are now growing more markets. We are deliberate in opening up markets in the US, Far East. In the near future, you will see us exporting avocado into India, and fruits and vegetables expanded into Middle East a much more bigger scale, since we have been very firm and very proactive in terms of engaging the markets.
Farmers have been encouraged to acquaint themselves with the phytosanitary standards set by major markets to reduce cases of interceptions. Players in the horticulture industry project that horticulture exports will increase this year after a slump last year due to a 9% drop in Eastern Europe blamed on sanctions. Ndutamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
Welcome to Channel 1 Sports News. World number 1 Iga Swiatek began her grass court season with a comeback win over last year's Wimbledon semi-finalist Tatjana Maria at the Bad Homburg Open. In another match, Britain's Sonia Catal was narrowly beaten by former US Open champion Bianca.
And then played in the Gaiba 125.
Iga Swiatek, fresh from her French Open triumph, beat Tatjana Maria 5-7, 6-2, 6-love at the Bad Homburg Open. Swiatek has never gone beyond the fourth round at Wimbledon, but is one of the WTA Tour's most dangerous players. Swiatek is among the favourites for the Wimbledon title, having dominated the women's game over the past 18 months.
She started strongly and she finishes at a sprint.
In another match, world number 264 Sonia Catal, who is ranked 213 places below Canadian Bianca, overturned a 3-0 deficit in the final set but ultimately fell 6-2, 3-6 and 7-5.
Andreescu survives. But some challenge that became. Sonia Catal giving a great account of herself to fight as far as she did. So nearly get.
Manchester City's £90 million bid for West Ham United captain Declan Rice has been rejected. City made a formal proposal of £80 million upfront plus £10 million in add-ons, but the Hammers were unimpressed and quickly rejected it. Meanwhile, English manager Roy Hodgson has agreed to stay on as Crystal Palace manager next season.
Manchester City made a formal proposal of £80 million upfront plus £10 million in adds-on for Declan Rice, but the Hammers were unimpressed and quickly rejected it. Arsenal is still pushing to sign Rice, and West Ham is expecting them to come with a third bid after having 2 offers rejected. English manager Roy Hodgson has agreed to stay on as Crystal Palace manager next season. The 75-year-old is currently on holiday, but is expected to sign his contract for the coming campaign when he returns. Hodgson returned to Selhurst Park in March, replacing Patrick Vieira until the end of the season. He helped steer Palace away from the relegation zone, taking 18 points from his 10 games in charge to finish 11th in the Premier League. Paris Saint-Germain is close to signing Lucas Hernandez from Bayern Munich. The talks are taking a positive progression and are heading to the final stages between the two clubs. Personal terms agreement is 100% done and sealed.
And on that bit, we come to the end of Channel 1 Lunchtime News. But for more details, do log on to www.kbc.co.ke. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your feedback on our social media platforms. Quick acknowledgements. Wilfred Mtie, you're watching KBC Channel 1. Also, Kip Kemboi, all the way from Kericho, and Mudhui Munyaka, you're tuned in to KBC Channel 1. My name is Irene Chuma Odin. On Sign Language Interpretation, we have Susan Thuku. Good afternoon.
hizi wewe.